Hi, this is John Delancey, and you are listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
This is Dave. He really enjoys going to the movies. He's always considerate to his fellow moviegoers. This fellow is disturbing everyone around him. Oh, look, Dave is shutting off his phone. Now is not the time for talking or texting. Oh, well, now look at that. There's a true movie-watching friend. Let's all be more like Dave.
This is M-Wire, Movie Week in Review. M-Wire is brought to you by Audible.com. Sign up today to get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/geekcastradio. Start today with a free 30-day trial with over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter at audible_com. And now the latest and greatest in movies with M-Wire.
Some believe that before the universe, there was nothing. They're wrong. There was darkness. And it has survived.
I gave you my word. I would return.
What's gonna happen?
Hold on.
Wait, what? Jane! We're from different worlds. Maybe they're separate for a reason.
If we do nothing, they'll destroy us.
Ask yourself, what will you sacrifice for what you believe?
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Where were you?
Oh, Gene, I'm so sorry. I'll never hurt you or anyone ever again.
It's too late.
No!
You can't hide.
No, Gene! No!
I've been trying to find the Wolverine for over a year.
It's not who I am anymore.
My employer wants to say thank you for saving his life all those years ago.
Run, now!
That was a time when our enemies knew honor. I wanted to offer you something no one else can. A gift. You have struggled long enough. I can end your eternity. Make you mortal. What they did to me. What I am. Can't be undone. Don't be so sure. I'm not healing like before.
His flesh is weak now.
Eternity can be a curse. A man can run out of things to live for. That day ain't here yet.
Hello and welcome to Movie Week in Review. This time we're reviewing and highlighting our film picks for the second half of 2013. I am TF Mike, and rounding out the panel we have Steve Megatron, hello.
Hello.
Optimus Solo, hello.
I'm here.
And we know. And Movie Old Dan, hello.
How's it going?
Wow. Ripping off Pecan Court Michael's shtick, nice. So for the it seems like forever since we recorded spring summer. I know it wasn't that long ago, but it
wasn't yesterday.
Yeah, true. So jumping right in, we're gonna do a recap of what we did, what our picks were in the first half of 2013. Steve, what is on your list for the first half, and brief thoughts?
I had Star Trek Into Darkness, Iron Man 3, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Oz the Great and Powerful, and Grown Ups 2. 2 of these films I have not yet seen.
Oz and Grown Ups 2, right?
Actually, G.I. Joe Retaliation I didn't get a chance to see, and Grown Ups 2 I'm going to see this weekend. Star Trek Into Darkness, I went and saw opening weekend. Iron Man 3, watched by other methods. Oz the Great and Powerful, watched by other methods. But, yeah, I mean, for the most part, I wasn't disappointed with mine 1 and 2 and 4 on the list. I probably should have put Man of Steel in there, and Despicable Me 2 only in place of G.I. Joe and Grown Ups, only because I got to actually see them and they weren't in my honorable mentions. Star Trek, I've mentioned it before, but I like it, but there's certain elements that I just found lazy. Iron Man 3, I ended up liking it after a second and third watching.
Yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful, I found it to be very interesting and a nice take on the addition to the story that was set years later, or actually prior to the original film. Getting time mixed up because of the original film. But
yes.
But yeah, and then like I said, my that would pretty much round it out. I mean, I wasn't disappointed with what I watched.
For me, I had honorable mentions of Man of Steel and Despicable Me 2. I saw both of those, so I'll have to replace Oz and G.I. Joe with those, because I have yet to see Oz and G.I. Joe. I still have yet to see Fast 6. Iron Man 3 is still my number 1 movie of the year. I don't care what else comes out after we finish up this episode. I still really, really enjoyed that both times. The first time I saw it, I enjoyed it for what it was. The second time I was able to see it in the theater, I went back and I kind of analyzed it a little bit more. And yeah, there are a few problems. There's a few logic jumps that you have to make, but it's still an overall very enjoyable movie. I did see Into Darkness through other methods, and it was okay. I'm interested to see where those characters go from there. I do find it a little slacking off and lazy that they just did Wrath of Khan Redux. But Man of Steel I enjoyed. Despicable Me 2, best animated movie of the year for me. That movie was hilarious. That movie was so damn good. What about you, Kev?
Well, I mean, I don't want to sound negative at all, because I didn't dislike hardly any of the films I saw so far this year, but nothing has just completely blown me on my heels. I wouldn't be surprised if nothing from the first half of the year makes it to my top 10 overall. But I did enjoy. That's not saying I didn't enjoy some of these films. Like, I had honorable mentions. I had Olympus Has Fallen, Man of Steel, Iron Man 3, and Now You See Me. I never got to see The Phantom or Dead Man Down, if they even came out. I must have missed it.
Dead Man Down did.
Okay. But Olympus Has Fallen was okay. You know, Man of Steel I really enjoyed. Iron Man 3 I really enjoyed. Now You See Me I really enjoyed. But nothing like like I said, nothing number one out of the year material, like you were saying with your opinion of Iron Man 3. My actual choices, I have not seen Despicable Me 2 only because my niece and nephew are coming down here in a week, and I was waiting to see it with them because I saw the first one with them in the theater. So we're waiting a little bit on that, but I'm sure I will love it. But I did see the other 4 that were on my list. Star Trek Into Darkness, I don't even remotely have the same feelings that you two do on that, and we will not get into that. Great.
We'll save that for episode 112 of M1.
Great Gatsby was one that I was looking forward to. Again, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't wowed by it so much. Oz the Great and Powerful, I think some of that movie is amazing, and I think some of that movie is awful. I just can't get past some of the things they did with the witch, and anyway. But visually, there was a lot of cool things about that movie, so I kind of have a love-hate relationship with that one. 42, I put that on my list originally just because I'm such a baseball and historian nut. It was what it was. I'm glad I watched it once. I probably will never watch it again. But it wasn't bad. So, I don't know. I kind of agree with Dan somewhat with the lacklusterness of, there were some big movies, Iron Man 3, Man of Steel, Star Trek, etc., and I'm not saying any of them were bad, but not nearly the caliber of movies that I think we will see in the second half of this year. Dan, what do you think?
Well, my top 5 for the first half were Man of Steel, Pacific Rim, Star Trek Into Darkness.
From the guy who's never seen it, by the way.
Yes, and you say you don't dislike it, you just don't want to see it. But Now You See Me and R.I.P.D. I have not seen Now You See Me or R.I.P.D. R.I.P.D. was on my list before I saw the trailer.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
Once I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, not so much. Just the concept, the people that were in it, I thought maybe it'd be interesting. So that is kind of a black eye. So I made sure when making my
second best Ryan Reynolds movie ever.
Yeah, so when I made my top 5 for the second half, I made sure not to include ones I didn't see the trailer for, so that doesn't happen again. Like I mentioned, I think last year the first half was actually surprisingly really strong. There was a lot of good movies that came out, and this year not so much. There wasn't really anything that really, like you said, I don't necessarily see making my top 10. I think of all my top 5 that I came in, I think Pacific Rim is probably the strongest, and I actually didn't have Iron Man 3 in my top 5 most anticipated, but of all the summer blockbusters, that would probably also be up there too. There are some movies I like that weren't on that. I did a top 10 of my movies of the year so far that's on the site if you want to check that out, and a few other reviews of movies that have come out since then. Some smaller films, some things that aren't necessarily the big blockbusters, but are kind of good counter-programming, like Before Midnight, Mud, which is a great movie with Matthew McConaughey. It's a really great movie to watch now because it's very summery, like a nice Stand By Me almost type of tale. It's coming to DVD in a few weeks, I believe. So if
you do need to see Now You See Me, though, Dan, before the year's over.
Oh, I definitely will.
Okay.
And I wanted to. It's just that it was. I don't know if something else came out that weekend or what have you. But anyways, I do have strong feelings for the second half, hoping it can make up for this first half. So
we're gonna take a quick film trailer break, and we'll be back to discuss the latter half of 2013's films after this.
Steve, it takes guts to drop out like you did.
Higher education comes at the expense of experience.
Boss!
What are you working on?
It's a computer terminal that hooks up to the TV for the display.
Steve?
Wow. These are state of the art. Nobody's making anything like this. All right, okay.
Welcome to Apple Computer. Is this everything? Startup.
I think we should start with around 90 grand.
Could you repeat that?
If you'll have me aboard.
Trust me, on my INDEPENDENT.
Apple Incorporated went public this morning.
Chasing dreams since I was 14. Y'all can't stop me.
We gotta make the small things unforgettable.
Typeface isn't a pressing issue. Get out.
He's trying to start a war with IBM.
Steve's been doing the impossible ever since he was in a garage.
I'm trying to build Apple, and they're taking it away from me? If you keep heading down this path, I will not protect you.
It's a blatant ripoff.
I'm gonna sue you for every cent! You are your own worst enemy.
The board is unanimous. Steve will no longer be involved in this company.
10 years after Steve Jobs' departure, the future of Apple Computer is in jeopardy.
In life, you only get to do so many things. We're gonna make Apple cool again. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
If we're gonna do this thing, we need to come up with a name. Apple. That is so much better than phaser beam computers.
Winds in the east, mist coming in, like something is brewing, about to begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning our descent into Los Angeles.
Welcome, Mrs. P.L. Travers, to the City of Angels.
It smells like
Jasmine.
chlorine and sweat.
Introducing the creator of our beloved Mary.
Poppins. Never ever just Mary. Now, where is Mr. Disney? She's here.
Well, Pamela Travers, you can't imagine how excited I am to finally meet you.
Would you mind? My name is Mrs. Travers, Mr. Disney.
Oh, Walt, now you gotta call me Walt. 20 years ago, I made a promise to my daughters that I would make your Mary Poppins fly off the pages of your books. I promised them, Pam.
I know what he's going to do to her. She'll be cavorting and twinkling.
You can't make the film unless you grant the rights.
Damn.
Now, let us begin.
Room here.
She has a lot of ideas.
What kind of ideas?
Constable's responsible. Now, how does that sound?
No. Responsible is not a word.
We made it up.
Well, unmake it up.
She won't approve Dick Van Dyke.
No.
The Mantis house doesn't look like that. No, it's all wrong.
It's all wrong?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Stop! Mary Poppins is not for sale. I won't have her turned into one of your silly cartoons.
Says the woman who sent a flying nanny with a talking umbrella to save the children.
You think Mary Poppins has come to save the children? Oh, dear.
Mr. Travers, what am I missing here? I'm wondering what I have to do to make you happy. You know, you've never been to Disneyland, and that's the happiest place on earth.
No, please.
Well, when does anybody get to go to Disneyland with Walt Disney himself?
There he is.
Where did she come from?
Mary Poppins and the Bankses. They're family to me.
Mary Poppins was a real person? So it's not the children she comes to save. It's their father. It's your father.
You don't know what she means to me.
I won't disappoint you. I swear, every time a person walks into a movie house, they will rejoice. Don't you want to finish the story? Now, the boys have come up with an idea. I think it's going to make you happy.
You didn't bring me all the way here to tell me that.
Oh, no. I had a wager. I couldn't get you on a ride. I just won $20.
Ba 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 na na. Ba 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 na na. Oh, ba 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 na na. Yo plano fu, la mano no tu, ma banana la camo pitala mo banana baba banana potato banana to cari no potato li cani malo mani canotica baba banana.
Despicable me.
All right, we are back, and briefly we're going to go over July really quickly. Dan, take it away.
Well, I guess I'll start with the movies I have seen. Well, Lone Ranger, relatively pretty bad in every way possible.
Was that called Lone Ranger or Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever number we're on?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah. It was pretty much Pirates of the Caribbean, the Western. Now starring Johnny Depp's rotting career. Also, like I mentioned,
Watch them get Armie Hammer to be Batman.
I think
that
he would be
actually
great.
was one of the rumors.
I think he would be I think he's a good actor. I think he was just given a bad role in a bad movie. I don't put the failure of that on him. I put that on Gore Verbinski. I think he was just kind of gotten a little bit crazy. Also, I saw Pacific Rim, which I really liked, and we'll be seeing The Wolverine when that comes out, which hopefully will be probably up at the time this goes up. And The Conjuring, which I just saw, which I'm not the hugest horror fan, but I can appreciate a good horror movie, and The Conjuring was definitely one of them. Everything else in July, nothing really comes out to me. The to-do list looked rather mediocre. Smurfs 2 is everything that's wrong with movies. Turbo.
I'm glad you said Smurfs 2 and not Despicable Me 2.
I actually, you know what I should mention? I would see that, and we'll see that when it comes to DVD. Just nothing else really comes out to me. Maybe Red 2. The first one was decent. Maybe the second one will be okay, but
I love how they're marketing that. No giant robots, no lizards, no this, no that, just action stars. Red 2 is like Expendables 3 eventually would be.
Let's not compare those two franchises quite yet.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for July.
Really quickly for me for July, Despicable Me 2 is awesome. It just is. It's something you have. I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, I can wait till it gets to media release." You have to see that movie in theater. It's that damn good. I'm interested in Lone Ranger, but again, I'll wait till it gets.
Don't ever say that again.
I'm interested in it. I'm more interested in it than I am seeing Pacific Rim.
It makes no sense on this planet.
Well, it makes sense to me. R.I.P.D. I'm interested in, and I know that's me going against my "oh my god, I fucking hate Ryan Reynolds" thing, but honestly, for me, I'm more interested to see it with what Jeff Bridges does and with what James Hong does, because James Hong is one of the avatars, because that guy is hilarious. The Wolverine is gonna be easily the best one that they've done to this point. The to-do list, whatever. What about you, Kev?
Obviously, I'm going to see Despicable Me 2. We already talked about that. That's probably one of... I've actually been waiting for 3 years for that film.
Yeah.
I was ready for that film as soon as the first one was done. I don't know if I've anticipated a movie as much as I have that one for a long time. Don't ask me. I just very much anticipating that one. Lone Ranger I wouldn't see if they paid me to go see it. Grown Ups 2, I didn't see the first one, so I should probably watch that before I watch the second one, I'm guessing. I echo Dan's sentiment about Pacific Rim. I went in no expectations with that, and that was a really enjoyable film. Something that, if possible, you should definitely see in the theater. Very, very good. A breath of fresh air. Turbo, I mean, it kind of looks decent, but it's coming out in a year chock full of some pretty good animated films. It's a tough year to be an animated film this year. We'll get into that more later. The Conjuring, I respect that it's kind of like that old school horror film, kind of harkening back to like the 70s and whatnot, but I'll pass. R.I.P.D. looks... I mean, it should be a battle between that and The Lone Ranger for the dumbest movie that comes out in July, I guess. I just did see Red 2, and I just kind of on a whim went and saw that, and I was actually pretty entertained. I like both of those films, even though I don't take them too serious, and neither do they. I am actually anticipating complete disappointment in the Wolverine.
No, that's...
Yeah, I'm kind of there with you. I'm gonna go see. I have some expectations because I like James Mangold as a director, and the fact that they're going into Japan has me interested, because that's one of Wolverine's most iconic storylines. But I don't know. Some of the special effects, I don't know. You can't be worse than the last Wolverine, so I guess that's a good thing. But I was really excited.
If you were making a list of like all of the big budget type, superhero or other films, though, that we had this year with Iron Man and with Man of Steel and all these other ones, if there was going to be a dud, my bet is on Wolverine.
Thor: The Dark World.
No, I don't think so. I think Thor will be better than Wolverine.
Maybe it's because I don't care about Thor as a character, and I care more about Wolverine. I am more interested in Wolverine than I am Thor.
I guess you can throw Smurfs 2 in, and they can have a battle royale with R.I.P.D. and the Lone Ranger. The to-do list, it could be funny. I don't know if the cast casted. They cast the best the girl for that lead role. I'm not 100% convinced, but so yeah, I guess out of the ones I haven't seen, I'm most looking forward to Despicable Me 2. I've basically seen everything else on that list except for the Wolverine, which, like I said, so I'm just beating
Steve
doors around me.
Well, for me, I've seen quite a few movies in that list. I mean, like I said, I'm going to see Grown Ups 2 this weekend. Turbo has me intrigued. Red 2, I'm actually looking forward to just because I liked the first one, despite having seen it like a year after it came out. Pacific Rim, I'll eventually see it. I'm going to keep an open mind when I do see it, but that's not one I care to see right at this moment. And I don't
appreciate
want to
your
watch
open-mindedness.
And I don't want to watch a shitty quality version online, which seems to be the trend right now. Like Grown Ups 2, I was trying to do that, and it's like a 1-hour cut. And I'm like, I'll wait. Wolverine, I'm waiting for as well, but I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. I hope it's much better than the Origins film. R.I.P.D. I think it'll be a funny movie. It'll be a funny action movie, more or less, than it won't be a good movie, but it'll be an entertaining movie. Is more or less what I'm going to say about that. Despicable Me 2, I did see that. That was really good. Lone Ranger, I saw that. The parts of it were good. And I will agree it's not a good movie because it's too drawn out. And it feels too much like the Pirates films. I mean, I understand it's the same. I like the Pirates films and I like the National Treasure films, and it's done by the same guys. But the addition of Johnny Depp, I mean, yeah, he does play the part well, but it's another Captain Jack Sparrow looking character. And I can see where that's the pitfall, but there's a lot of scenes in the movie where they just drag. So it's that I can see why that's not ranking very high either. But yeah, I think that about rounds out my July.
All right, moving into August, what are we interested in August, Dan?
Actually, quite a bit. August used to be like a dumping month, but there's actually a good bit coming out. Probably the one that jumps out to me the most is Elysium. It's the movie that it's Neil Blomkamp's long-awaited follow-up to District 9. It's been forever for this movie, and he was the guy who was slated to direct the Halo movie that kind of fell through. And this almost looks like what that would have been if it happened. He does kind of have his social allegories a little bit too blatant at times, but I love the way the world looks. I love how it's futuristic but not too futuristic, and the juxtaposition between like the drab real world and what the Elysium looks like, and the fact that they shot a lot of this movie in Mexico City or parts of Mexico City, so those slums that you're seeing in the trailers are actually real locations. So that really has me pumped. Also, I love Matt Damon, so that's always a plus. Another movie, there's a few others that kind of jump out. Kick-Ass 2, I know you guys, I don't know if any of you are fans of the first one. I enjoyed the first.
I was.
I enjoyed the first one. The second one, I'm not 100% sold on. I'm thinking I'm just a little worried about what they're going to do with it. It could be great. Jim Carrey looks like he can kind of have a fun role in that, though apparently he's not going to be promoting it all because of the violence. There's that controversy going on.
Which
also
is funny because he knew what he was getting into.
Yeah, I don't personally have an issue with it, but I guess that's a different story for a different day. But it is kind of odd. Another one too is the World's End, the Edgar Wright's ending of the Cornetto trilogy. Like, you had Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and now the World's End. I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Hot Fuzz. Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are to me, they're the people who love making the movies that they're in. They just have so much fun, and I think that transcends to the people watching. So those are the ones I think I will see in theaters. Other ones that I will see but probably either rent will be We're the Millers. Looks like it could be funny. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I think either it's going to be a lot edgier than the trailer lets on, or maybe more broad. It's hard to tell, so that's why I'm not really that sold on it. In August 16th, The Butler. that's coming out. That looks like it can have potential. There's actually controversy with that too. Warner Brothers is being a little bit of a pain, not allowing the Weinsteins to register the name The Butler. So when that comes out, may actually have a different name because the Warner Brothers have like a 1939 silent film that they have yet to release on DVD, and they're just kind of sticking it to the Weinsteins because they don't get along, which is stupid. But I think Lee Daniels, who did the Precious movie, which I wasn't the hugest fan of, but I'd like to see Forrest Whitaker actually be in a good movie again. And then the last two, then I'll pass on the mic, was Jobs. Again, a big reason I'm not sold on that is that I just did not see Ashton Kutcher as a serious actor. So
I'll talk about that in a bit.
So we can get into that later. And the last one that comes up is Getaway, which looks interesting. It's a movie about a guy whose family gets abducted, and he's driving around the city with Ethan Hawke as the driver. That looks like it could be fun. I'm not really it's kind of a concept that's been done different ways, so it's not all that groundbreaking, but there's potential there. So that's all I have for August.
Steve, what about you for August? What piques your interest?
For me, it's kind of a hit and miss. I think We're the Millers will be funny. I do like and enjoy stupid comedies and stuff and I like that Jason Sudeikis actor anyway from SNL, so I like a lot of how he portrays characters and stuff, so I want to see that. Disney's Planes, I know it's gonna be like a Cars rehash just with airplanes, but I kind of want to see that anyway. I like Pixar films. Elysium looks like it could be pretty good. I'm kind of looking forward to that, seeing how that is. I generally like Matt Damon films, so I like when he's in more or less action films. I don't really like his kind of calm, serious roles. I agree with Dan on The Butler. It could go either way. It looks interesting based on the cast, and some of it, but I don't know what to think about it yet. Kick-Ass 2, I like the first film, so I'm on board for seeing the second one, and it especially threw me because it has Jim Carrey in it instead of Nick Cage, so I'm down for that, but nothing else for the rest of the month really stood out to me.
How about you, Kev? What stands out for you for August?
Well, first of all, I think I'd find a calendar and I would circle the date August 16th on it, because a good movie will come out that day. You have Jobs, and Paranoia all coming out on the 16th. I think all of those have potential to be good, so make sure you go see at least one of them that week or the next week after that. With The Butler, I think that has the potential to be an epic film. It has the feel of like a Forrest Gump type film. Will it follow through with that? We will see, but I can see the potential just kind of lurking there with that one, or whatever it's going to be called. Jobs, I agree that the biggest hurdle there is accepting Ashton Kutcher as that role. I'm going to give him a chance. If he can pull it off, that movie could be pretty darn good. If he can't, he is going to single-handedly ruin that film, though. Obviously, a lot of the feel of, like a Social Network type feel. So that could be good. Kick-Ass 2, I'll watch eventually. I'm not huge on those films, but I do enjoy them. And I actually am somewhat looking forward to Paranoia. Nobody's mentioned it yet, so I'm assuming most people are not. I just kind of think that it's an interesting dynamic with Gary Oldman and Harrison Ford. They've made a lot of not so hot movies, but I'm going to give it a shot. So August 16th, I'm definitely looking forward to. Before that, Two Guns. I'll see it just because I like action films. So, put action films and put Denzel on the screen, and I'll go give you some of my money. So I'll watch that. Percy Jackson, I just can't get into that franchise.
We're
the Millers, like everybody said, it could be funny, but I'm not looking for anything like best comedy of the year style. Planes will be good if it's not exactly like Cars. Sorry, Mike. Elysium is by far the film I'm looking forward to the most out of the entire month. I think that looks absolutely amazing. I'm a huge Matt Damon fan. This just looks like it could be something that has a big impact in its genre, etc. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then after the 16th, The Mortal Instruments, City of Bones. I'm not on board yet, but maybe I'll be swayed that way. The World's End, just not my thing. Your Next, not my thing. Getaway, I'm undecided, but the fact that it seems like the car is the setting for 90% of the movie is a huge turnoff to me. And Closed Circuit looks interesting, kind of has that James Bond feel, so I'll wait and see until it gets a little bit closer on what I'm going to do with Closed Circuit.
All right. Well, first of all, I watch a lot of Disney channels, so I see a lot of these previews and promos and behind-the-scenes things. I'm a huge fan of Cars and Cars 2 and those characters. I would have rather had a Cars 3 than this fucking movie Planes. I don't see...
I think it has the potential to be better than Cars.
I don't see any... No, it does not. Not... If it wasn't a friggin' crop duster as the underdog, maybe I could see that.
Well, they're still having cars in it.
Well, yeah, it's the Cars universe, but still, it's not Lightning McQueen and Mater and this. Anyway, so I will not be seeing Planes. I have no interest in it whatsoever.
Also, just on that real quick before you go, that's also not a Pixar movie. It's made.
It's a Disney.
It's Disney Toon Studios. It was originally made to go direct to video. And then they're like, you know what? People are dumb enough to go see this, so let's put it in the theater, and that's what they did. So you can't even put that one on Pixar because this one's just Disney trying to squeeze as much out of that car franchise as they can. And maybe we'll get boats. What's next? Maybe like tanks.
We already got boats in Cars too, but yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah. As far as for me, there are 5 films in August I'm interested in. Two Guns looks absolutely interesting. Like Kevin said, put Denzel on screen and you're there. But the interesting thing about Two Guns is who he's teamed up with. Mark friggin' Wahlberg. That's interesting casting. The Butler looks interesting. Jobs. There's got to be some other actor that could emulate Steve Jobs better than Ashton Kutcher.
They've already done this like 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
I know. Okay, but see, that's the thing. Recently, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, I don't even know if you saw it, Dan. I stole Dan's Streaming for Your Pleasure blog type thing, and I did a kind of quick take mini review of One Last Thing, the Steve Jobs documentary story that came out a couple of years ago. I think it was like right after his death or something. Jobs, the film Jobs with Ashton Kutcher, is basically the documentary except set in fiction.
And there's actually another Steve Jobs movie coming out, not this year, probably later down the line, that's going to be written by Aaron Sorkin, the guy who did Moneyball and the Social Network, and I'm far more interested in that than I'm probably this one. I mean, it could be good. I think, honestly, if it wasn't Ashton Kutcher, I probably would be giving it more credence. But to be fair... the Social Network also starred Jesse Eisenberg, and up to that point really didn't prove himself as an actor, but ended up getting, really critical acclaim for that role. So I mean,
there's a huge difference between Jesse Eisenberg, who I never even really knew before the Social Network, and friggin' Ashton Kutcher, who was Michael Kelso from that '70s show. He's done in plenty of other comedies. He's made comedy his thing. I think the only serious film I've ever seen him in. And I haven't seen all of his films. I just choose not to. The only serious kind of film I saw him in was that Butterfly Effect movie. No, I know it's a bad movie, but I'm just saying that.
Yeah, I know.
His shtick is comedy, and I don't know. I just don't know. Jobs would be interesting. The Butler looks good. Like Kevin said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Closed Circuit. That kind of grabbed my attention when I watched the trailer. The Getaway, I know Kevin hates cars. Kevin hates racing. But The Getaway to me looks like 10 times better than what Drive was supposed to be. The Getaway to me looks like what Drive should have been.
You mean mediocre? Because that's what that movie looks like.
What, Drive?
No, Drive is freaking fantastic.
No, Drive was friggin' horrible. Drive was like, sub it in French and it would be better, because it was a French film done here in America and it was just god-awful.
I agree, it is like a foreign film, which I think makes it good.
All right.
We need to review that one day. I think that'll be a fun review.
Can I be on it?
Sure. Have you seen it?
Mike would be phoning it in.
No, I wouldn't be phoning it in. I'd be raging at the mouth.
Oh, we're talking about Drive, not okay, never mind.
What did you think we were talking about?
Getaway.
Review of Getaway. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get to Getaway eventually. All right, so that's for August. What about September, Steve? What piques your interest for September?
Well, for me, for September, Insidious Chapter 2 looks like it'll be pretty good for a horror film. Only because I saw the first one, and the only thing confusing to me is part of the trailer. I don't know if it's reusing part of the first film in it, or if it's retreading some of the first film into the second film with it. I don't know. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, because I enjoyed the first one. It's just that kind of goofy type film, and it's animated, so it's, I don't know. It was really good, the first one. So the second one looks nice that it's continuing where the first one left off. The only other film I had on there was Prisoners, which looked halfway decent. Just because it's got Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal in it, and it's like a home version of Taken in a sense, but it's not quite that level. It's more down to earth version.
Ah, interesting.
So,
what about you, Kev, for September?
I mean, I think September pales in comparison to August. Like Dan was saying, August is weirdly, seems like it's packed with a lot of potential good films. In September, okay, Riddick starting off the month. No, I will not pay money to see anything Vin Diesel is in, thank you. The Family has the potential to be god-awful, but I will watch it because Robert De Niro's in it, and that's just one of my rules. No matter how many bad movies he makes good ones every once in a while. Battle of the Year, to me, that could be my guilty pleasure if it's done right, kind of like Pitch Perfect was last year, but I don't think it'll be that good. Prisoners, I'll be seeing that one in the theater. That's like take Taken and take Edge of Darkness and then replace with Hugh Jackman, and it could be interesting. So I will definitely see Prisoners. I might even go see The Wizard of Oz in IMAX. I know that's not a new film, but that seems like something I should do. Baggage Claim, I think they left out a name in the casting list of that trailer. I'm pretty sure Tyler Perry should be in that. Sorry.
Medea's Baggage Claim, that's what it should be.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, like I said, this is a good year for animated films. At least I think it has the potential to be, and not saying all of them will deliver, but I think Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs will be up near the top, just not quite as far as Despicable Me 2. Don John, I am loving Joseph Gordon-Levitt right now, and I think that's kind of a sleeper film. I think that could be better than people are going to think it's going to be. Hopefully I'm right. And Rush, I think that'll actually do amazing in the box office because there's a gazillion race fans out there. And this is like, if there was ever a film made that could deliver on the thousands and billions of NASCAR and race fans, then this one's going to be it. Myself, if I have to see the trailer one more time, I probably won't watch it.
That's how I felt about Premium Rush, which is something completely different that came out, was a bike messenger movie.
So yeah, the only films I'm looking forward to are Prisoners and Don John in this one, which with the caveat there that I probably will see Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs too at some point.
Dan, your September picks?
Well, I think Riddick kind of looks interesting. I do agree that Vin Diesel is kind of void of charisma, and like him on screen is kind of horrible typically, though the Pitch Perfect character kind of works with him, or not that character in Pitch Perfect, or not Pitch Perfect, geez, Pitch Black. Vin Diesel and Pitch Perfect be a very different movie. though I didn't like Chronicles of Riddick, and the Riddick seems more like Pitch Black than Chronicles, so that might be okay. I won't see it in the theaters. No high expectations, but curious about it. Like Steve said, I did like Insidious, the first film. James Wan, who directed that, and also directed The Conjuring, and it's also directing Insidious Chapter 2. So I'm really curious about that. Horror sequels, they're hit and miss at times. Probably films have more sequels than any other genre because they're cheap and easy and make a lot of money. But with James Wan directing, the original director, I have a lot of faith. And then Wizard of Oz, like Kevin mentioned, it feels like almost like you're obligated to go see that in a good way. I do wish it wasn't 3D IMAX, just regular IMAX, but I think it'll look gorgeous. I did see a preview for it when I went to see Pacific Rim. It wasn't in 3D; it was just normal IMAX, and it looked great. It looks like I've never seen it before. Prisoners, like you all mentioned too, that looks kind of almost like a 70s film in the way it feels. And Jake Gyllenhaal has me sold after last year when he did end up watching. I was very impressed with him.
Yeah,
almost everything he's done. You mentioned Don John again. I think that looks great. That's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's first directorial film as well. So I'm curious how that would go. Metallica Through the Never looks ridiculous. The film that's coming out, it's like a concert film mixed with a like actual narrative of like a riot or something. The fact that that's actually getting released in theaters is, I don't understand. It looks more like something you'd throw on during a concert and not actually release. It could be god awful, and I'm pretty sure it is. Regarding Rush, I haven't actually seen many trailers for it. I think before we started doing this, I've only saw one. And wow. Ron Howard as a director, he can do some amazing things. I love Frost Nixon. I love Apollo 13, but then he has some misses as well. So it's hard to tell. Chris Hemsworth, Thor starring. So, and I'm not a big race fan myself. I never watched a car race, but there's potential. It can be better than Days of Thunder. So
I want to live where you live, because every film I've seen in the last 2 months has previewed Rush for me.
I haven't really. I don't know why. Just worked out that way. I guess I'm lucky that way. And that's pretty much it for this year. Battle of the Year. Maybe that could be a hit. It's just, I don't know. Like, dance movies to me always seem kind of ridiculous, but yeah. Maybe it's because I suck at dancing. And Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, one seat in theaters. Probably nice little rental though.
For me, Wizard of Oz, IMAX 3D. What I find interesting about IMAX 3D versus regular 3D theaters is the 3D doesn't bother me as much in IMAX because the screen is so much larger, or at least it seems that way. So I'll see that. Metallica Through the Never. I'm a casual Metallica fan. I like some of their songs when it comes on my iTunes playlist and stuff like that. When I saw this trailer, I think I saw it might have been in front of Despicable Me too. I was like, ooh, wow, Metallica's finally doing something after 20 years. Because, I mean, seriously, what have they done? I mean, I know they released a new album a couple years ago, but, like, they haven't been in the mainstream limelight in a long time, and Through the Never looks interesting. It's not theater-worthy, I don't think, but it's something that I'm interested in. Other than that, that's it for me for September. All right, moving into October. Dan, what are your October choices?
I think October gets a little bit better than December. Maybe not in quantity, but in quality. The first one that comes out to me is Gravity. The trailers that have come out don't really give you much, which I think is the right thing to do. All you really know about them is it's Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, and something happens in their space, and then it goes from there. Alfonso Cuarón, who's directing it, he directed Children of Men, and similar to Neil Blomkamp, who's doing Elysium, it's like his long follow-up. It's been forever since he's come out with a movie. He's like the king of the long shot. He's a really impressive director. So I'm really looking forward to Gravity. I think it has potential to be absolutely fantastic. Another one that jumps out to me is Captain Phillips. I think that looks freaking phenomenal. I love Paul Greengrass, Tom Hanks as like a ship captain with a weird accent. Somehow it works. It looks frightening and just really compelling, and the fact that it's really getting at a story that really new and interesting. That's really never been covered in American films. Is really fascinating to me. Some other ones that come up. I'm not a big horror film like I mentioned, but I think Carrie has potential. This is one I've seen a lot of trailers for, as I've seen a few horror films recently. I do like Stephen King. The original Carrie was pretty fantastic. There've been like a billion different versions of this movie since then, but maybe this one will be another good one. And also, October 25th, maybe another day, there will be another great movie. Because Ridley Scott's coming out with The Counselor, which looks completely different than a normal Ridley Scott movie. It doesn't have that epic feel. It's really just a personal tale with Michael Fassbender, and he's an actor I'll go see in almost anything. And another movie I'm really, really looking forward to, because I love the original Old Boy. Spike Lee is another director that I can love and hate at times. Usually I'm hating him when he's talking, but this movie... This movie I think it looks gorgeous. Josh Brolin looks really great in it. Has, I think, again, some of this month in October, some of my movies I'm looking most forward to. So, and then there's a few others like Machete Kills. I think that Grindhouse type of style movie is kind of gone. We've seen a lot of them with like Hobo with a Shotgun and Death Proof, and I think this is it's run its course. And I don't know. I have no interest in that. Runner could be okay. I just think Justin Timberlake works better as a side character than a lead actor, and I like Ben Affleck more as a director than an actor. So that's why I'm a little hesitant, but it could be good. It could surprise me. And Romeo and Juliet, I had no idea that movie was coming out, and the fact that they're taking it straight, that's pretty interesting. So that's the movies that stand out to me for October.
For me, I didn't know Steve became a captain.
Har har.
Okay, that went completely over
Har
everybody's
har
head.
har.
No, it didn't go over our heads.
Captain Phillips looks interesting. Romeo and Juliet. Can we just get a Nomeo and Juliet sequel, please?
I think we have.
Please don't.
I don't know if they've made Nomeo and Juliet 2 yet. For me, in way back in school when they showed us the original film, I was bored as hell. The Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes version in I think it was the mid '90s was all right. I just don't care about that story that much. It's something I'll probably Redbox or something like that, but it's not something I'd pay money to see in a theater. Gambit, not the Marvel character, because as soon as I saw that, I asked Steve, I'm like, hey, wait a second, Marvel's putting out a third movie this year? Gambit looks interesting, and The Escape Plan, for me, looks really, really interesting. What about you, Steve?
For this particular month, I really only have a few that I think might be cool. The Captain Phillips looks interesting only because, not because the name, so don't even say it. Because it's more based in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, isn't that based on a true story?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's
okay.
based on a true story.
Then yeah, that's another reason why I think I found it interesting. I thought it was, but I wasn't 100%. The other one that I'm kind of looking forward to just for 80s shits and giggles is The Escape Plan, because it has Arnold and Stallone.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the only reason why I want to see that is because those two are in it. It has nothing to do with the plot. It's pure nostalgia.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of the 80s action stars have come back and become action stars of the new century at this point.
Because they're broke. And
Yeah,
Hollywood likes them.
But none of them have really been successful. I mean, they've all been kind of duds. Bullet to the Head failed. The Last Stand failed. The new Die Hard wasn't taken really well.
Well, the next Die Hard's gonna be terrible too. So,
yeah, I think they're trying to come back. Escape Plan looks like, of all the ones that are coming out, it does look kind of interesting because I think it's not that huge over the top, Schwarzenegger taking out 1 billion dudes and lifting cars with his arms, so I think it has potential. But yeah, they're coming back, but I think it's more so out of need because they need some money. But that's about it.
Let's not quite put Bruce Willis in the same class with Arnold and Stallone though quite yet.
Well, no, he's for instance, Die Hard is just subject of bad writing
and directing.
Yeah, because they should have kept him in America. The minute they jumped the shark and moved him overseas, like Police Academy did, then I knew it was over.
True. I just think he has more acting ability than those other guys, at least.
Well, I mean, his Die Hard 5 role was pretty much saying, John!
True.
And then diving over stuff. Like, he wasn't even John McClane. That was a phone-in.
I would have rather have watched the whole 11 yards and see that character again.
They should have made, like, Olympus Has Fallen into Die Hard 5 and had John McClane running through.
Yeah.
What about you, Kev, for October? What are your choices?
Well, first, what are not my choices? No, I don't know. Machete Kills, I have no interest. Like Dan said, I wasn't interested when they first started those types, and I'm still not interested in. Like, I definitely think it's run its course. The Shadow King honestly sounds like one of the most retarded synopsises I've ever read for a film. I don't even know how that's being turned into a film based on like the pitch that is. I don't know. I'm mind boggled about that one. Escape Plan / Expendables 3. It's like the Red movies or the Expendable movies. It's going to be worth a watch at some point just for shits and giggles, but I won't be seeing it in the theater. Ones I'm actually looking forward to, Gravity. I think there's a ton of potential with Gravity. I'm just hoping it's not just like the expensive attempt at a version of Moon, since Moon was so good. I hope they're not just trying to like take things from Moon and like make a big budget movie out of it and try to be successful. I hope it's an actual sincere, they follow through with the potential that they have there. That's one that you don't really know what you're getting yourself into when you go watch that, I guess. So who knows? Runner. I'm actually intrigued by the pairing of Affleck and Timberlake. I think they could be magical together in a very flamboyant way. I don't know. I think that could be very interesting. I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. I'll go see that one in the theater just out of pure intrigue. Captain Phillips, I gotta appreciate Tom Hanks getting back some limelight in the big screen and some big films. I know he was there kind of last year, but this seems more Tom Hanks, like the old Tom Hanks that I'm used to, rather than some of the stuff that he's done recently. I'm very surprised that it took this long to make this into a movie. The modern day pirates stuff has been going on for a long time, and I would have thought somebody would have capitalized on it sooner. But I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Romeo and Juliet, I am one of the biggest Shakespeare fans that I know. I'm surprised they're doing this again. And like Dan, I had no clue they were doing this again. I don't know why they're doing it again. I think there's other Shakespeare stuff that hasn't been done as much that could really be done successfully now. I do find it interesting that they're going straight with it, but I just don't think there was a need after the Claire Danes and the Baz Luhrmann version of this, because I really enjoyed that. So I'm undecided on that one. I'll try to keep an open mind for it, but I don't really see what they hope to accomplish with this. It's already been done in the classic form, and it's already been done in a modern take. So I don't get the point.
Money. That's the point. Money.
I don't think it's a guarantee to make much money, but we'll see. Gambit I'll watch on DVD at some point. It looks interesting. Counselor looks interesting, and Old Boy though is probably, I guess, if I had to pick one besides the Captain Phillips there and possibly Runner, Old Boy, I just think that looks insanely intense. I will definitely be seeing that in the theater. I have high expectations for Old Boy.
Very cool, very cool. All right, moving on into November, I have 0 films that I'm interested in November. 0, absolutely none.
What?
Thor: The Dark World. I like Thor when he's with the Avengers. I don't care about him when he's on his own.
Can we make a bet?
No.
On which film is better between Wolverine and Thor?
Between what? between Wolverine and Thor.
I'm on Camp Thor. You can be on Camp Wolverine.
Yeah. Anyway, Kev, what are your choices for November?
Since you have none, wow. Ender's Game could be terrible and could be good, but I'll definitely see it in the theater. Freebirds, if I'm not mistaken, that was the film that was originally called Turkeys. No, I'm serious. Like, I think there's even movie promotional art that calls that Turkeys, and they changed the name to Freebirds, if I'm not mistaken. Is that, let me double.
Free-range turkeys.
Yeah, it is. Owen Woods. Yeah, it was originally called Turkeys in like some type of early draft. Now it's Freebirds. I actually think that, again, is a decent looking comedy that's coming out this year, or animated film that's coming out this year. But it's made the mistake of coming out in the wrong year, possibly. I think actually I'm looking forward to Las Vegas. I don't know why, but it seems like it has a good cast, and comedies are hit or miss, but I'll give it a shot. Thor, I really like Thor. I like Thor apparently more than most people liked Thor, and I like the setting, and I like everything about Thor, really, and I wasn't expecting to because I had no opinion of Thor a couple years ago. So I'm definitely looking forward to Thor: The Dark World. I don't care what Mike says. The Book Thief, that one like rings Oscars to me, and I know nothing about the film, but I just have a feeling that's something that the Academy might like. I don't know. I don't know enough about the film to form an opinion about it. The Wolf of Wall Street, I guess the question there is it going to be better or worse than Great Gatsby? I find it very weird that Leonardo DiCaprio took those two roles in the same year, because there's a lot of like about them. I don't know. We'll see. Delivery Man, again, why does Vince Vaughn, or not Vince, Vince Vaughn, did I say the right name? Vin Diesel?
Yep.
No, Vince Vaughn. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why he said yes to that. The Hunger Games, I'll probably see that one in theaters. I forgot, I didn't see the first one in theaters. I waited until it was on DVD, and that's a film that you should probably see in theater, I'm guessing. I'm still not sure. That's a film that would have never been made in the 80s or even the 90s. They wouldn't allow that. They would not have allowed that film to be made.
No, not at all.
There's a lot of films that are out now that would never have been made.
That one though, even watching the first one, I was like, "Whoa! Nobody had a problem with this. Like, no parental groups, no anybody had a problem with kids killing kids."
And that movie in the 80s would have either been rated XXX or X or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
It wouldn't have been rated like that. It just wouldn't have been allowed to be made.
True.
But I'll see it in the theater because I think it's something that you should see in the theater rather than on a TV. Nebraska, I would have to see a trailer on that. Homefront, I have to see a trailer on that. Frozen, I think that's possibly the only film with the potential to beat Despicable Me 2. I expect big things from that. I think Frozen and Despicable Me 2 might be 1 and 2 as far as animated films this year. Out of the Furnace, that has a ridiculous cast. It kind of gave me the feel when I watched that trailer, similar to like The Town and The Fighter when those films came out. So I'm really looking forward to Out of the Furnace, and I would not be surprised if Mandela: A Long Walk to Freedom is a Best Picture nominee. That looks amazing. So I guess the ones that I'm looking forward to the most would be Thor, Out of the Furnace, and Mandela.
Mm-hmm. Dan, your November picks?
My November picks. And like Kevin mentioned, Ender's Game has potential. That's a classic novel. It's well acclaimed. The trailers haven't really wowed me, though. They've seemed kind of just blah. And if it didn't have that pedigree of that novel behind it, I don't think it would be nearly as... I didn't think I would nearly have any interest in it. Though Harrison Ford going back to science fiction is intriguing, even if he's just kind of a side character. The movie About Time looks kind of almost like The Time Traveler's Wife, but more comedic and less pretentious in a way. And it could be a nice, cute little comedy. Again, not expecting much. But I won't see that in theaters. Again, one of those movies that's great for rental or on demand or something like that. Thor. I do like the character of Thor. I'm a big fan of the character of Thor. like I've said previously, he is kind of like the Hulk. You get the right writer, and he is an amazing character. There's a lot of history there. There's a lot of Shakespearean elements to that character. I like the first Thor movie. I thought the best parts of that were the Asgardian aspects of it, and I like the fact that this Thor seems to be focusing on that, and I hope they expand that world a little bit more. If we're gonna bet what movie's better than Thor or Wolverine, put me on the Thor side. I have more faith in that than I do Wolverine.
I've stated before, the character of Thor, the reason why I don't care for him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe unless he's with the Avengers is because it's all serious and dark. The Thor character I know is comedic, and he's basically.
I don't see him as just serious and dark, though. I mean, there was a lot of fish out of water moments when he came down to Earth in the first one, like him trying to order a horse and him not understanding. Yeah, they were one of the funniest things in the world. They were kind of broad, but I never saw Thor as a dark movie. Maybe The Dark World will be, but I never saw the first one. The Wolf of Wall Street, another one I'm looking forward to. Huge Scorsese fan. Him tackling this time period is great. Another great cast, Matthew McConaughey, who's been on fire lately. The guy who I wrote off a long time ago has been freaking amazing. Jonah Hill too in that. I honestly didn't even see the connection between DiCaprio and Gatsby. Now you bring that up, I could kind of see that. But I have more faith in Scorsese as a director than I
do
did.
too.
So I really have a lot of hope for that. I'm pretty sure it'll probably get a Best Picture nomination just because it's Scorsese. But I think it's very relevant today, even though it's really taking place in the 80s. So I think that is kind of an interesting. The Hunger Games. I was not the hugest fan of the first film. Like a lot of people, the movie Battle Royale, which is like a foreign film, or Japanese, I can't think of where it came from, that covers the same type of idea of kids killing each other, which does it a lot better than that movie. Though I do like it because I love Jennifer Lawrence. I thought her performance in that was fantastic. Catching Fire, I think, has even more potential. I know I'm going to be seeing it because my wife loves those movies and she loves the book. So
mine.
So I will be there. She'll be sitting through Thor. I'll be sitting through the Hunger Games, and I don't really mind it. I think hopefully Catching Fire will be a little bit better. It has Philip Seymour Hoffman, so that has me intrigued too. Like Nebraska, like you mentioned, Kevin, I need to see a trailer, but I'm probably going to see it because it's Alexander Payne, and he too can be hit and miss. But I love The Descendants. Nebraska has a pretty solid cast as well. And Frozen looks like you mentioned could be a really solid. That animated film of the summer or the winter months that really takes off.
I forgot to say, but I just want to throw this in there, and sorry to interrupt you, but one thing I appreciate about Frozen, and the reason why I think it has more potential than your typical animated film right now, is number one, they didn't just try to get all the big names to do the voices. I understand Kristen Bell's in there, but they didn't just try to get recognizable names to just sell the crap out of it for me. The fact that Idina Menzel is in there with her pedigree, I don't know. And it's directed by one of the people that did Wreck-It Ralph. I don't know. I just think this has a feel of not your typical just throw some big names in it and try to make some money off of kids thing. I think it might actually be good.
Yeah, I think so too. I didn't even realize the cast, but that is good to see when it's not just big star A, throw it in there just for name recognition. Out of the Furnace, I'm kind of just repeating what you said, but 2 again looks fantastic. Great cast: Christian Bale and Casey Affleck in something, and Woody Harrelson looks. That guy is so underrated. It's criminal. He can do so many things. He's great as a great comedian. He can play a good villain. So I'm really excited for Out of the Furnace. I didn't even hear anything about that. So hopefully that gets more buzz because it looks like it could be fantastic. And Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. It's Idris Elba. I'm sorry, Stringer Bell playing Nelson Mandela, which I love Idris Elba. He's a great actor. I was hoping for a very long time that he would get the opportunity to really show what he can do, like he did in The Wire. He was fun in Pacific Rim, but he really hasn't had a role that's really stood above and made him award worthy. Playing someone like Nelson Mandela has an opportunity. The voice is kind of off-putting, but it is Nelson Mandela's voice. But seeing it out of his mouth is does seem kind of odd. But I think it's something you get used to after a while. So I like you mentioned, Kevin, I could see that one being up for awards and being, I just hope it's not just kind of your normal biopic where it's kind of dry. But yeah, I actually think I don't know. I think November is pretty stacked too. A lot of good films coming out.
Steve, your picks for November?
My picks for November are Ender's Game, which, again, I agree with you guys. It can go either way. And if it weren't for the fact I read the book years ago and I did a report on it in school years after I read it the first time, I probably wouldn't have paid too much attention to this trailer. The Delivery Man, I want to see it only because I like Vince Vaughn. It has nothing to do with the plot because it makes no sense and it's stupid. Even showing my wife that trailer, she's like, that makes no sense. That's just stupid. And I said, I know. I said, but it still looks like it'll be funny. And, of course, I'll be going to see The Hunger Games as well, only because my wife really likes it. So I know I'll be seeing that. I liked the first film. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but it's not Twilight, so I'm fine with that. And the other film that I have on my list is Frozen, for pretty much the same reasons you guys listed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential with that one.
All right, let's move into the last month of 2013, December. I have one pick, Jack Ryan. I will see any of the Jack Ryan character movies because I like seeing what the different actor. I mean, the Jack Ryan character from Tom Clancy movies and his novels has been played by Ben Affleck, Harrison Ford. I think now it's Chris Pine. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Other than that, I don't give a crap about anything that's coming out in December.
All right.
Kev?
Well, obviously, being the furthest month out, there's a few that we don't really have a lot to go on at this point, so I don't want to make the same mistake Dan did. And I was ready to say a couple of these, like, I guess if I was going to make a mistake, it was going to be on The Monuments Men, because I looked at the cast and I said, I don't really care. I don't need to see a trailer for this. I want to see this. But I don't want to say that now because I might end up with another RIPD. So anyways, a lot of them, the trailers aren't around for. Dallas Buyers Club, I didn't see a trailer there. American Hustle, excuse me. The Monuments Men, Labor Day, and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I didn't find trailers for those, so I'm not going to say one thing about them. For the ones that there was stuff there, I think I'm probably going to say this wrong. Inside Llewyn Davis, is that how I say that name?
I believe so.
I think that's a sleeper, well, not necessarily a sleeper, but that's a best picture candidate possible. There's a lot of potential there. Obviously, I'm going to go see The Hobbit. I'm not anticipating much, and I'm not going to go up with a lot of expectations, but I will say that a lot rides on that film. The first one, whether you like it or don't like it, I think this second one will either make or break this second trilogy. So I think a lot rides on it, so I'm really hoping that it surprises me and is more so akin to the Lord of the Rings films and their quality, and that it doesn't take a step down and just completely ruin the whole Hobbit trilogy. Saving Mr. Banks, I am super excited for this one. First of all, I don't know why I never saw it, but Tom Hanks is absolutely perfectly cast as Walt Disney. Like,
I agree.
I don't know how I didn't see that he looks exactly like Walt Disney ever before. So I think he's completely believable as Walt Disney, and I think this is a cool and unique way for someone to, yes, tie into films that have already happened, but do so in a way that's not just a remake, that's not just a reboot, that is a unique and clever way to add a chapter to this franchise. I'm very excited for Saving Mr. Banks, and I think it's going to be a good film. Other than that, they still allow Keanu Reeves to make movies?
He makes real movies?
It just takes 10 years for movies to come. Like, 47 Ronin was like scheduled to come out in like 1980.
Oh,
The
that's
movie's
why.
It's been pushed back so much, and I didn't think it was coming out, but a trailer just came out today. So
And don't forget,
They were pushing it back, hoping that Keanu Reeves eventually would just quit.
I guess they were. He was waiting for Matrix 4, but I guess it's not coming.
I'm undecided on the Jack Ryan one. I do like all the other Jack Ryan films, but I need to see more and think more about that before I'm accepting of that. And I think August, Osage County, I think that'll do well. That'll get some nominees or something, or some acclaim of some sort. I think a lot of the whole baby boomer generation will definitely go out and see that one. But yeah, I think probably the biggest one I'm looking forward to outside of just my personal want to see The Hobbit would be Saving Mr. Banks.
Dan, what about you?
Again, I think December has a lot of movies, like you mentioned. There's not a lot of trailers out yet. Though I was kind of speaking crap about 47 Ronin, I am kind of interested in it. The trailer just came out today, and it does have a really epic feel to it. I'm a big fan of samurai movies. It looks like a cross between The Hobbit and The Last Samurai, if that makes any sense. But if you do and you see it, I think you'll see that. The special effects, though, look kind of iffy. I don't know if that's because they're just not done yet, so they're not all up to par, but they look kind of cheap. So hopefully that'll be a little bit better by the time the movie actually comes out, because I know they have some time to kind of fix that a little bit. Inside Llewyn Davis, I am super pumped for. I'll see any Coen Brothers movie. This got great buzz out of Cannes. Not that means anything, but I love the Coen Brothers. This, again, is a departure from them. They're directors that never kind of do the same thing. They always do something different. The music here is great. The cast is a mixture of really solid character actors. Again, Justin Timberlake in this, I think, makes more sense because he's a really good side character. And John Goodman, anything John Goodman is going to be at least worth a watch for his performance. American Hustle, again, there's no trailer for it, like Kevin mentioned. I do like David O. Russell. He did Silver Linings Playbook, The Fighter, a bunch of other films. So that does look like it could be good. It's hard to tell without seeing anything and just kind of going off of what's there. And like I mentioned, I learned from RIPD not to just trust things based on that. The Hobbit, I like the first Hobbit. Like Kevin mentioned, it's not necessarily Lord of the Rings level. The Desolation of Smaug could be interesting. I finally get to see the actual dragon. Maybe hopefully won't be the Two Towers of the franchise, but it could also, who knows. Benedict Cumberbatch doing the voice of the dragon does have me intrigued as well. And again, like you mentioned, Kevin, Tom Hanks as Walt Disney is perfect casting. It looks like a really Saving Mr. Banks looks like a 1950s studio film, in a good way. It just has that pleasant, non-cynical feel. So few films are made like that anymore, and I think it'll be a nice little pleasant watch. It's probably not going to be the most dynamic movie, but I think it'll be something that you can go with the entire family. A really solid family movie that is so rare today. So I think that again has a war potential.
I should say that it's not just Tom Hanks that's excellent casting. I think Emma Thompson is excellently cast in that too.
Yeah, that's true. The Monuments Men. I love George Clooney as director. He's only done 2 films. I love Good Night and Good Luck. That movie, to me, I watch that constantly. It's such a beautiful looking movie. The Ides of March wasn't nearly as good. It was okay, but The Monuments Men, that cast is ridiculous.
Yeah. That's why I said I would almost put this on. If it wasn't for what you did with RIPD, I would say that I would pick this one, but I'm afraid to.
Yeah, and just the idea of it too has me intrigued. That, I think that has. I can't tell if it's going to be a comedy. Is it going to be serious? It's really just on the description, it could go in either way. So that to me is a huge question mark. I can't wait for a trailer to come out. Anchorman 2, I really love the first Anchorman. I thought it was hilarious. I am a real Will Ferrell fan, and I don't think the trailer for Anchorman 2 is all that great, but I don't think that matters, because if you look at the first Anchorman trailer, none of that's actually in the movie. Unlike most comedies, they don't just put all the best parts. There's so much that they do, so much they cut out. Anchorman actually has an entire film made of things they just cut out of the film, and it's just because it's so random. And I love those characters. Comedy sequels are impossible to make. I can't think of really, minus the Vacation films, comedy sequels that work. So I don't see it being as good as the first one, but I have high hopes, and I'm hoping it's funny, because we could use a good comedy here and there. Other ones like August, Orange County. I don't even know how to say that. I can't believe that's done by the same playwright that did Bug and Killer Joe, which are really gruesome kind of movies. Meryl Streep's in that, so it's going to get an Oscar nomination because she gets an Oscar nomination for showing up. So the Grudge Match, if that's actually coming out this year, that's kind of intriguing. The fact that you have Rocky versus Raging Bull, a movie about Rocky, or Sylvester Stallone and Robert De Niro as boxers coming back to and fight in one last round. It could be cheesy, but who knows? It could also be interesting.
Sounds like a train wreck, but
it does. But who knows? It could be. It depends how they do it. Neither of them are really going off a strong footing right now. But it could be good. Maybe it'll kind of be the movie that they need to kind of launch them back to their stardom. Though, I guess you could say De Niro was great in Silver Linings Playbook last year, so he has that going for him. Unlike Sylvester Stallone, who can't really seem to find anything lately. Jack Ryan, again, Chris Pine as Jack Ryan, that works. Those films are fun. They're good. I'm glad they're trying to bring that series back. You can't go wrong with something that's not Ben Affleck as Jack Ryan. The last one wasn't all that fantastic, but yeah, there is a lot. There's actually a lot coming out. A lot of great directors. Some really Scorsese, David O. Russell, the Coen brothers, Ridley Scott. Huge directors coming out this year with movies. So I think there's actually quite a bit that is worth seeing. So,
what about you, Steve? What are your picks for December 2013?
My picks, I have 3. Jack Ryan's a little bit iffy for me.
But it's Kirk.
Yes, but it just depends. I'm not familiar with the games or the books that they're based off of or anything, so I'm.
You honestly don't need even if you.
No, I know, but I'm more or less just. It's one of those things. I'll see it when I see it. I'm more in favor of the Anchorman 2 than I am the Hobbit at this point, just because I'm tired of Lord of the Rings. I loved Lord of the Rings, but the Hobbit for me, honestly, I'm kind of done with that whole thing. Really, the only saving grace for the month that I find is the Saving Mr. Banks. I'm really looking forward to that. Seeing Tom Hanks play Walt Disney, that's just kind of an epic choice right there.
All right, well, that's it for the second half of 2013. We're going to take a quick, short commercial break, and then we're going to come back to each go through our top 5 list of the films we're most interested in seeing. We'll be back after this.
You ever heard the saying, never rob a bank across from a diner that has the best donuts in 3 counties?
That's not a saying.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I get what you're saying,
Maybe
but it's not a saying.
It is a saying.
Okay.
It's a saying now.
Go!
Everybody sit down on the floor.
Fire in the hole! Let's go, come on! How much you figure?
$40 million.
$40 million?
But I got bad news for you.
What is that? Is that a badge in your hand?
DEA.
Petty Officer Michael Stigman. You know Bobby Beans was DEA?
Man, your boy Stig's a piece of work.
Did you know he was Special Forces?
You've been on this limb way too long.
Pull over! Did you miss me?
All right. On the count of 3, we'll let each other go.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Now you're making me not be able to trust you.
The bank was a setup. We got to figure out whose money that was.
Well, like we're working together?
No, not like we're working.
Yeah.
No, like we're working in the same vicinity.
Together.
In the same area code.
Together.
He ripped off the CIA. Where's the money?
It ain't down there, I can guarantee you that.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
You got 24 hours to bring me the money.
Said the Joker to the thief. Yeah.
So, partner, What's your plan?
I got a plan. I mean, I'm capable of coming up with a
I'm
plan.
not capable. I'm just saying you haven't told me. What is it?
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Screw it. What's your plan?
No one expected. You should have seen your face.
Sure you can trust this guy?
Who are they?
Well, yesterday I said they were my family. Today they kind of want to kill me.
Yeah, I understand the feeling. What'd I ever do to you besides shoot me?
3 times over. Have I properly incentivized you?
More than you know. Make it rain.
You're my people, and there's a code. You fight for the guy that's fighting next to you.
Give me the keys.
You want him? Come get him. Oh, man! That was uncalled for.
Give me the keys.
Saw that move coming?
That's correct. Give me the keys.
The mind of a man confined works differently than someone on the outside. He sees things in a different way. A successful breakout depends on 3 things: knowing the layout, understanding the routine, and help from outside or in.
You got a runner. Put your hands in the air now!
Showtime.
Ray Breslin is able to break out of any prison designed by man.
We're testing a prototype facility to deal with people no government wants on their books. The people financing this need to know these facilities are escape-proof.
Contact on site.
The warden's name is Roger Marsh.
When do we start?
We just did.
Welcome to your new home.
I'm Warden Hobbs.
Hobbs. Where's Warden Marsh?
There is no Warden Marsh. This is the reality, and there's no way out.
Go make some friends. You're gonna need them. Back away. Who were you before you came in here?
I break out of prisons for a living.
You don't look that smart.
You don't either.
The people who paid for you to be here want you here forever.
Ray's gone off the grid.
Where is he?
This is the shadow world.
Code name the tomb. Phrase anywhere, it's it.
Where is here?
I don't know.
This was a setup. Somebody wanted to bury me.
You have a choice. You can die in here, or you can get out and punish who put you here.
I'm gonna find out who, and I'm gonna find out why.
Let's do it.
I need a diversion.
Okay. You hit like a vegetarian. That was good.
What's he up to?
They're planning an escape.
Lockdown procedure engaged.
Drag the rats back to their cages.
If I don't get out, I kill you.
Fair enough.
Your time is up!
You tell whoever put me here, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Welcome.
Ah, hello, madam.
I need to get to Elysium.
Whoever has this has the power to override their whole system.
Hey, bring down the bone saw!
This ain't gonna kill me. You can save everyone.
We're gonna break into the most heavily guarded place in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
We are back. Dan, what is your top 5 for the second half of 2013?
Okay, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I have a few honorable mentions. Ones that I probably would make this list if there were trailers out. American Hustle, The Monuments Men, again, probably may have gone on there. Some other honorable mentions: Elysium, The Counselor, Out of the Furnace, and Mandela: Long Walk to Freedom. I think those have potential, but my actual top 5, starting at 5 and going down to 1. Number 5, Old Boy. Number 4, The Wolf of Wall Street. Number 3, Gravity. Number 2, Inside Llewyn Davis. And number 1 for me is Captain Phillips.
Speaking of Captain Phillips, Mr. Phillips?
For me, I'll have to say, in no particular order, these are my 5. Captain Phillips, Insidious Chapter 2, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2, Hunger Games 2, and Saving Mr. Banks are my top 5.
Kev?
Honorable mention potential here to Don John, Old Boy, and Out of the Furnace. And if I have to narrow this list down to 5, I guess I will go with Captain Phillips at 5, Elysium at 4, Thor: The Dark World at 3, Mandela: Long Walk to Freedom at 2, and Saving Mr. Banks at 1.
For me, 5 to 1, Jobs at number 5. It's only at number 5 because Ashton Kutcher. I just don't fucking know. I don't know. The Butler at number 4, The Getaway at 3, Escape Plan at number 2, and Wolverine at number 1.
Let the battle begin.
Any final thoughts from the group here about the second half of 2013, Steve?
Honestly, for me, it's a little bit harder to choose films from this second half. I mean, this is a more serious half of the year, which is, I guess, what normally happens anyway, because you spend the beginning of the year ramping up for the summer blockbusters of superhero movies, big action battle things, sci-fi. So, I mean, it's more or less the more stuff that would have got trampled earlier in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm kind of wishy-washy anyway because I'm biased. I like superhero movies and action, and sci-fi, and all that stuff. But there's not really that bad of stuff. I mean, when I went through the list the first time, I think I had like 26, 27 films highlighted of that were potentials.
Right. What about you, Kev, for final thoughts?
I mean, like I said before, I think that the second half is going to be better than the first half, first of all. It's not going to have those couple, those big, huge budget films that we had with a few of those, Star Trek, Man of Steel, etc., Iron Man. But it is chock full of under-the-radar films, sleeper films, films that could potentially be epic. I think there's just so many. When I was coming through this list, I had like 25 films, and I would say, like, outside of the ones that most of us listed in our top 5, there's just like a good dozen at least that could just end up being really good films that kind of steal it. For me, August is a pretty good month. Thankfully, you can save a lot of money in September because you're really going to need it the rest of the year. I mean, November, for me, with Ender's Game, Las Vegas, Thor, The Book Thief, The Wolf of Wall Street, Frozen, Out of the Furnace, Mandela, I mean, that is a chock full month. And that's, October, December, nothing to, sneeze about. So, yeah, save your money in September and be ready to spend it the rest of the year.
Dan, final thoughts?
I think this second half of the year is going to be hopefully far superior to the first half. Again, a lot of really great directors coming out with movies. You talked about science fiction. I think this half of the year has the potential to have the best science fiction film with Elysium. I think there are some decent comedies in there, some fun films peppered within the serious movies. A lot I'm looking forward to. Coming up with my top 5 is really difficult. Movies I knew were going to be my top 5 ended up not making it as I was looking through this list, and there's a lot coming out that I didn't even realize. Like The Prisoner or Out of the Furnace that I had no idea, but looks really great, and I think can be fantastic. Like Kevin mentioned, a lot of sleepers here. And I think there are some potential for big blockbusters. You have Thor, you have The Hobbit, 47 Ronin could be something of that nature too. But I don't know. I think this second half can be really great. I have a lot of high hopes. So,
can I just say too, what the second half of the year has, which it doesn't have a lot of times, because it leaves the first half of the year usually to do those big budget films and the superhero films and whatnot. But the second half of 2013, and I know this is cliche, but it has something for everybody. Sci-fi, you have Elysium, you have Gravity, you have Ender's Game. For your superheroes, you have Thor and Wolverine. For your fantasy, you have The Hobbit. For straight action, it has the old stuff that we talked about with some of like the machete types or the different ones with Stallone and Schwarzenegger, etc. And then you have some of the just straight at you action that we talked about. You have some of the more historic films with like Mandela and The Butler. So, I mean, I really think Saving Mr. Banks kind of in that realm. Maybe there's literally a little bit for everybody. There was a few, if anything, there was not very many romantic comedies or chick flicks at all. Not just that we didn't mention, there wasn't any, period. So I guess
there hasn't been many this year at all, really, that I can think of.
In comedies, there was a few here and there with Anchorman and a couple like that, but I still think there's a little bit for everybody. It's just going to be interesting to see which ones live up to the potential and which ones kind of fall flat, I guess.
For me, final thoughts, easily in my opinion, the first half of the year is better. And the reason why I say that is I judge stuff on the fact of what am I really going to go to. I'm not like Dan. I don't go to the theater every weekend. I'm not like Kev. I don't go to the theater every day I'm off. I go to the theater for stuff that I really, really want to see in the theater. Stuff like Iron Man 3, Star Trek 2, Oz the Great and Powerful, even though I haven't seen it yet. Stuff that is big and huge. And to me, I've never had any interest in Lord of the Rings. I've never had any interest in The Hobbit. I have no interest in The Hunger Games. I have no interest in Thor, even though it is a superhero movie. For me, it just seems that the first half of the year is just so much better. Yeah, there are going to be some sleepers. Yeah, there are going to be some cool, stuff like Getaway and Escape Plan and stuff like that. But, this isn't a year where November and December have, a Bond movie or another, if they, I know they won't do this because they usually use Spider-Man and all the comic book stuff for May, June, July. But, if they had ever put a comic book movie that wasn't Thor in November or December, if they put, it's going to be interesting. I don't think this is going to happen when Captain America Winter Soldier comes out. It would be interesting to see it come out in winter versus a summer blockbuster.
There's so much wrong with what you just said that I can't even address it.
Shut up.
And history will prove you wrong.
There's just so much wrong with most things that you say too. So, but overall, second half of the year, I just don't care enough.
Moving right along.
Anyways, so that's gonna do it for this film preview 2013 fall winter. We will be back sometime in, say, late December, probably after Christmas, to do the spring-summer preview for 2014. Maybe, I don't know, might be later than that, might be sometime January next year. Coming up next on M-Wire, you will be going through 12 weeks of Star Trek as Steve and Kev kick off with Star Trek: The Motion Picture in Movie Week in Review, episode 101. And for now, I am TFG1 Mike with
Steve Megatron Phillips,
the one and only Optimus Solo,
the many movie revolt Dan.
We will catch you next time. Unleash the movie geek in you. Keep those film reels rolling.
Hello. Banana!
listen to Movie Week in Review on GeekCastRadio.com. If you would like to leave feedback on the show, there are many ways to do so. First, you can visit the website, GeekCastRadio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. Be sure to rate our show on iTunes and leave us feedback. You can follow us on Twitter at GCRNMwire. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can email us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. Call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.
In a world, there, I said it, happy,